Good evening, good evening, good evening, good morning, good noon, good night, wherever you are in the world. We are out here. I don't even know, man. I'm hoping I got a few good noon. You know, there was just bringing out new ones, good noon and that, man. Like, I got my guys on, man. Like, listen, I've worked with loads of people. I love everybody that I have worked with, but these guys show me love all the time. My guys from Free Midfield. Got man like Kojo, man like Cahill. Like, they're just legends, man. Like, if you don't know about them, please go find out about them because it's all love, no drama, no beef, no name calling, no sending locations, none of that madness. It's just good vibes, and we're just here to talk about football. So, how are you two today, man?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. It's been a good day.
All good, yeah, all good.
How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm just living a dream, man. I'm just glad that you two are not like munching on chicken wings and that today or pizza.
Wow, I feel like you said
you just said it. Sorry, man. I know what happens backstage. Just stay backstage, innit? But like, I'm just glad that Kojo's not running off, like not in the strut, like leaving the streams and that, man. But yeah, man, today we are talking about Midfield Generals. Right there. That says Midfield General. Let me quickly put S on that because that's a bit of a mad one still. Midfield Generals. For me, there's not many in the game, if any, at the moment. Like, when we look back, if you're of a certain age, like myself, big 35 out here, I remember there were people like Edgar Davids. There were people like Gattuso. There were people like Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira. You know, there was just name after name, Steven Gerrard. There were people that can control a midfield by themselves, which enables you to then have a sort of ball-playing midfielder alongside them, or somebody that was just concentrating on winning the ball back, whichever way. So we had, for Arsenal, we had Emmanuel Petit, we had Gilberto, who complemented Patrick Vieira. Patrick Vieira done his madness, generaled it, and then, you know, he just let Petit and Gilberto do what they done, you know, and then even Edu, when he came in at Arsenal, sort of complemented the way Patrick Vieira played. So, start Kojo. Is it over? Is the midfield general over? Like, what do you think it's down to? Is it down to tactics? Is it down to players are just not built like that? Is it down to the evolution of football? Because obviously the game's a lot faster. People are a lot more athletic. So the notion of one person being able to do so much, is that still out there?
I mean, but if players are more athletic, then you would hope that they'd be able to do a lot of the job in the game because they would have the physical attributes anyway to carry that kind of responsibility. The thing is, in this era of football right now, no matter the formation, it's sort of like if you play in the position, that's the only role that you hold within that team for that position. So, you know, when you played 4-4-2 flat, even I go somewhere like Atletico Madrid, you play 4-4 flat, still 4-4-2 flat. Their midfielders still carry out their functions just like in a functional role rather than if like let's use Vieira for example. Vieira or someone who win the ball back, but of course can play box to box, can dribble with the ball, play 1-2s, or even just start the attack and end the attack. That's someone who was able to do such a thing, or even the thing that you do now of if you're a defensive midfielder, you win the ball back then pass it on. If you want Vieira to do that, he could do so. But what's changed for me is there's so much instruction now. Is that you when you talk about the generals that you mentioned, so you mentioned other names already that I can go through the list again. Those guys, yes, you will have your tactics, yes, you will have your instructions, but then there's also a freedom about it where it was like also use your initiative on the pitch. If you read the situation and you win the ball back and you're told, like, in your mind you feel like you can drag the ball forward, please do so, but do it within reason. That's the kind of thing. That's the intelligence that these players had. So your Essians, your Vieiras, your Davids, your Gerrards, your Yaya Torres, your Roy Keanes, they had that intelligence about them on the pitch that they knew how to dictate how a midfield ran. And it wasn't just about the physical attributes. Also, it's about how you use your technical ability to run the game. So that you go to your Xabi Alonso's, your Scholes, your Gilberto Silvas, That's not even me saying that the other guys are all physicals, because go and check out the technicals of Patrick Vieira, for example. You know a player when you see him. But they had their role, but they also know how to play other roles and do it well. That initiative was about them. Whereas now it's, if you're a defensive midfielder, you take the ball, you sit, pass it on. Give it to the more creative player. It's not about if you can create, you know what I mean? So that's what I think it is anyway. But I don't like how footballers are so stuck in their ways of listening to instruction and do nothing else. There needs to be a freedom about it that makes you stand out above the rest in that midfield and makes you run midfield, rather than being part of the midfield that could hopefully run the midfield collectively. Sometimes you want a one-man show to push everyone forward. Yeah.
Big up Jerry in the building. Cahill, what do you think, bro?
Just reflect what Kojo said. It's I think the individuality has gone from the game. If you look of the forwards of the past, a lot of them were able to. It's like the simple step over is gone. Like nobody does like a simple shinny anymore.
Unless it's Pepe, man does like 25.
Let's not talk
man does 25 step overs to be standing in the same spot.
They went some with the players of the past, but yeah, individuality is gone. It's all about what the team needs right now, and if you really do want that player, just no player really ever really takes control. Not your strikers, not your midfielders anymore. The ones of the past, Patrick Vieira, you knew if there was if it was a tight game, defensively he'd be sound, and offensively he'd be sound. But nowadays it's this certain position has to sweep up all the balls to get all that, and then, like Coach said, pass it to the more advanced forward thinking and then hopefully they'll do something there.
Again, that for me, this is why I went, because the word world class is touted about so much that I don't know, if we go back 10, 15 years, how many genuine world class footballers there were. Like the other day I posted up an AC Milan team that had, I would say, 9 genuine world-class footballers in that team. And the only 2 that I didn't class as world-class, they were very good, but for me personally, I didn't feel like they were world-class, were Gattuso and Dida. But they were both very, very good. I mean, anyone could argue with me and disagree, but that was just me personally. Because in terms of, at the time, who I had in my team, would I have swapped those 2 players for the players I had? Probably not. But again, is that, like, if you had to pick genuine world-class players now, especially in a midfield position, would you struggle? Like, is there names that you can just freely roll off your tongue? Like, how many can you freely roll off your tongue? And there's going to be no debate about it. Because obviously we know that there's Ronaldo, let's not talk about midfielders, but just in general, there's Ronaldo and Messi who are genuine world class. And say Neuer in goal, genuine world class, where there's no debate. But when we talk about anyone else, like they've got the whole debate with Fernandes. Is he world class? Some say he is, some say he's not. You check his numbers and what he's done for Man United since he's been there. For me, his ability has been world class. He's been playing like a world class player, but can he be world class if he's only been doing it for a year for Man United? Because obviously doing it in Portugal is slightly different, isn't it? You're going to post up them sort of numbers, but how many genuine world class midfielders do you feel are out there?
You go first, Carol. You go first. I'm thinking.
Because you're going to have to think about it.
I mean, it's weird because when you think of world class, you think of the best of the best, and I'd say the best of the best are now past their prime. So if you go look at Madrid, then you say Kroos is past his prime. You say Modric is past his prime.
Yeah.
Rakitic for Barcelona was past his prime as well. But if you look at the players now, KDB, world class.
That was the only
Kante, but Kante is obviously.
It seems like he's on a decline.
He's on a decline, yeah. it's all about what we talk about is world-class ability. There's a lot of midfielders with world-class ability.
Yeah.
Paul Pogba is obviously numero uno with that one. But it's all about consistency. And has he been consistently as good as, say, someone like Vieira? No.
Yeah.
But it all depends, man. It's hard. It's a hard one. I can't really think of anybody right now, barring KDB.
So yeah, again, that leads me to say that it's hard to say football has gone downhill because technically the players have got better. They've evolved more. They're more athletes and stuff. But when you actually, I mean, all right, let's talk like they're better in the sense of numbers. I think that's what everybody lives by. Not many people do the eye test, but in terms of numbers, people have, statistically got better in it over the years. But for me, yeah, go on, sorry, go on.
Sorry, but then this is the issue. It's like I was looking at Gerrard actually, because when you posed this question to me, I was looking at Gerrard. So I thought, let me just look at Gerrard, and we praise him obviously as a central midfielder. He was excellent. He was excellent for Liverpool.
Scruff of the neck, guy. Scruff of the neck.
Yeah, he was good for England. No one was fantastic for England because no one achieved anything with that England team. So yeah, but he was fantastic for Liverpool. Achieved many things with them, man. Ran the show for them. I say 8 times out of 10 in his whole career at Liverpool. But his best productive year was when he was at under Benitez on the right wing, with less responsibility in the middle. That's when he got the most numbers in his time at Liverpool. So then that's when it's about less responsibility. Now that kind of feeds into what I'm saying now in terms of when players are playing. It's not like you take the ball and you can do more. It's like you do one thing and then let the other ones do their thing. It's all functional. And he played in a functional way. Not that he was a functional player, but he played in a functional way to make sure that he could get more numbers, because when Jar strikes a ball, it's not easy to see. And he's creative as hell off the ball as well, from the middle and on the right. So then when it comes to better, for me, the reason why we rated those players back then and up to about 2014, I'd say, is because on top of having good numbers, which was like the icing on the cake, is when you watch them, it was the difference they were making in games. That's why right now I enjoy, to be honest, it's even funny because even when we say the game has evolved and is more physical, the players that we rate highly at the top are, for me, a lot more technically better than physical presences. Like, for example, Harry Kane is a big boy, but we praise the fact that he can play make, the fact that he can shoot from different ranges, the fact that Aguero's not a big man, kind of small for us in the stature of other footballers, but his low gravity, the way he finishes, the near post finish, the movement, those are not power and pace things. Those are technical abilities that he's using. So as much as the game in one sense is a bit more physical, you have to look at it on the other side and say, well, the players that we put at the highest level, your Neymars, even your Hazard, who Hazard is, dribbling is his thing. And that's a technical skill. That's not a power and pace thing. That's a technical skill. That's not a stamina thing. That's beating players. The players that we rate at the top of the game are still technical. So are we really still trying to put these physical powerhouse players up here because they're better athletes, because they can run faster, or they last longer? Or are we still going to give the technical excellence what they deserve, which is absolute respect and greatness? For me personally, I'm still on the technical side. I don't feel like the game is changing, but as much as we love the midfielders that kind of be, I don't know, simple in what they do and get the numbers, or the strikers and get the numbers, or even defenders that get numbers now, because they're more like midfielders than actual defenders. That's why defending is so crap these days. But we rate them for things that they shouldn't be doing. So defenders shouldn't be rated because they can pass long. They should be rated because they can defend. Do you know what I mean? That's why it's difficult with Trent, because Trent is excellent. He's a whipper. And bear in mind, I even have sympathy for him because he played as a central midfielder. So he got put to right back, and he's producing beautifully, but he can't do his primary job. But is that his fault? I don't know.
Yeah. Cahill, let me put this to you. Are players from a yesteryear better because they played against better players? So, like, for me, if say, no, who would you say is the best midfield in the Premiership right now?
In the Prem right now, KDB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, like the best midfield in terms of like a team. Like, who has the best midfield?
Oh, who has the best midfield?
Yeah, like which team?
Ooh.
I don't.
Ooh.
See, to me, that's mad because, like, imagine, like,
It's not because because it's not who's great. It's
yeah,
who's not that bad. Like you're looking for
yeah,
you're not looking
yeah,
for the great players. Because I'd say on paper,
yeah.
Man U.
Really?
Yeah.
Over Rodri.
Rodri's had a decent year.
Gooden.
Oh, yeah, Gundogan has come back to levels. KDB
Yeah.
and Foden. Maybe City. Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Then you got Chelsea.
Who have Chelsea
I mean,
got?
they got Jorginho, Kovacic. That's £90 million worth of footballer right there. 2 players there, plus Kante.
But are they excellent?
But this is what I'm saying. Like,
that's the thing.
when we look at it, would they have been able to dominate against Keane and Scholes? Would they been able to dominate against Alonso and Gerrard? Would they been able to dominate against Vieira and Gilberto? I don't think any of these midfields that are out there now would be able to play against any of those 3 midfields that I mentioned. And this is why, like Kojo was saying, football has just become too calculated. Like, you watch football and you sort of know what's going to happen before it happens, which is a bit weird. Like, I don't feel like you should know. Like, let's take away not Liverpool from this season, but we look at Liverpool from last season. We knew exactly what they were going to do. We knew exactly how they were going to play, and it was just like you're just watching the same thing every week. But when you watch the teams of yesteryear, you didn't know, like, you knew that Arsenal and Man United were going to always be challenging at the time, but you didn't know how they were going to play, if that makes sense. Like, you knew that you was going to get a certain level of performance from Scholes and Keane or whoever was in the midfield, but you didn't know what sort of passage of play you was going to see. Like, I always feel like now football is scripted. Like, even when down to Barcelona, you knew that it was just all about triangles. So you knew that Xavi and Iniesta were trying to always create triangles, and you knew Busquets was just going to hold. You sort of knew the pattern of play, and I mean, again, Busquets was able to do 2-man's job, which for me means you could put more attacking players in the team. And I think, wouldn't that make sense to you? Like, I'm looking at Man United and seeing that Fred and McMuffin are playing good together. But don't you feel like you could get one player to do that job, what both of them are doing? And then that frees you up to put Donny in there, or put Pogba in there, or put Fernandes in there. Like, and then again, like you're saying, I don't think footballers are... Do you think they're as smart as footballers back in the day? Because, like you're saying, I feel like Wenger could send his team on the pitch and say, play football. You guys make the decisions on the pitch. Like, I trust you to make the decisions. Do you think you get that now, Cahill? Do you think
that's the
just
thing,
trust their players?
The game of yesteryears was all about character.
Yeah.
And you could differentiate all the midfielders. So you could say that Vieira played a very different game to a Nedved, and Seydorf played a very different game to a Petit or
bro, you're making me sick right now. You're just saying all the names, bro. You're just saying names, bro.
That's the thing. These are all world-class players because they were allowed to play. They were allowed to show their excellence. It is down to tactics, I'm afraid. It is down to the fact that everybody has their role.
Growth in it. Yeah.
It is because it's making the game a lot, like you said, it's making the game much more predictable. It's much more boring now because you never knew what was going to happen. You knew certain things were maybe inevitable. You knew that maybe if going to Arsenal, Henry was going to get a goal.
Yeah.
You didn't know how he was going to get that goal. You didn't know start what was going to lead up to the how we got that goal. Now it's like City of say when they done the Centurions, everything was like we're gonna overload the left.
Yeah,
everything goes down at left and blah blah blah, and that one then obviously will create space, and Sterling can then nip in behind, and they'll cross the ball in. It goes to him, and he gets the goal. But is that good football? Is that expressive?
FIFA.
Is that
FIFA football?
FIFA? Maybe, but it's far too predictable nowadays, man. And you can see the players that want to play expressively, that want to have the ball at the feet and just run teams. But it just gets stifled. I mean, Ole kind of allows his team to do it because, well, I don't think he has much say in the dressing room, to be honest with you. But all the other managers, like, would you go against something that Klopp's saying? Would you go against, as a player, as a young player as well, especially, would you go against something that Guardiola's saying? No, you'd listen to instructions. And that's come at a cost of individuality.
Yeah. And this is why I go back to saying I rate managers like Harry Redknapp. Because, like, when he took over that Spurs team, he said to these guys, he signed the players that he wanted. He said to these guys, go and express yourself. And that is some of the best football that we've seen Spurs play in donkey's years. And you mentioned it with Ole. I feel like whether it's down to him not being able to control the people, the players or whatever, he's given them that freedom to play how they want to play it. And now you're starting to notice he's reining it in a bit, because I think Fernandes isn't as free as he was. You know, like,
is he not though? I feel like he's the thing. Like, you look at Pogba is easily one of the most recognizable footballers of a past generation. You see the freedom, you see the ability that he wants to express, but he just is not allowed to do it because he's told you need to play. Like, I'm kind of going against my point, but everybody in football tour demands that he plays a specific role, and he plays it well. If he doesn't give you a 9 out of 10, he's played horribly. But then again, that's not his game. But look at all the other midfielders, man. They're just so robotic.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep making the same point because it's the truth. There's no individuality in the game anymore. And it's sad. It is sad to watch.
It's very sad because I think, you've alluded to it. I think this guy should be the best player in the best player in the Premiership. Like, I genuinely think Pogba is that good at football. And again, like you're saying, it goes down to tactics and freedom. Like, if we look at players of yesteryear, let's pick out two players, Gascoigne and Matt Letizia.
Okay.
You had these two guys who their team knew they weren't doing the doggy work. They weren't getting back. They were so good that you just had to let them be free and do what they do. I think that's how you've got to treat Paul Pogba. You've got to be willing to let him go here, go there, be out of position. But if you're going to play McMuffin and Fred, they've got to do all of his running for him. Yeah, that's what you've got to do. And I think when Mesut Ozil first came into the Arsenal team, that's what we were doing. We were like, you know what, guys, you lot are going to have to do this guy's running from him because he's genuinely that good that we're going to have to take a hit on him coming back. And then it feeds into what Kojo's saying, that football's become too much of a... It's too much, like, it's just too much tactics in it, like, instead of people being free.
Players like Letizia now would be called a luxury player, which I hate.
Yeah.
You know how much I hate? There's so many terms in football today that I hate. I forgot the one that I used to say on Free Midfield that I used to hate so
Medio
much.
Central.
Medio flipping central. You know, when we had the era of like 2 years where people started to learn the name of positions in different languages.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They'll say,
something like that.
Yeah, and they say, I mean, there's one called lateral something, and the literal translation was left back. I was like, you're just wasting people's time with this kind of stuff. Like, it's like that's why Mourinho that one day said, there's many poets in football, because this is what it is. It's not only about managers; it's about fans also. Who I'm a fan also. I will get things wrong. You're fans of your clubs, you'll get things wrong sometimes as well. In terms of like, you'll say, "Why you start this guy?" Then this guy will go and hit a hat trick in that game. It's like, okay, that's cool. But then you'll say it in another game, you say, "Why you starting this guy?" And he'll go and drop a stinker in that game, and then you'll feel justified, right?
Yeah.
But there's many people that feel like they know so much above many others that when they get one thing right, they drag it out and say, yeah, I told you. This is why I know this and this is why I know this. Now, the luxury player thing...
We're all culpable with that. We all do. We've all done that before.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We've all done it. But I'm saying this is like it's always a select few that do it and they continue to do it. They're never humbled by it. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever. But the reason why I hate the term luxury player is because essentially what you're saying is you've got a creative, superb talent that you refuse to build your team around because your team or your manager wants to play a specific style and they don't know how to use that player. They don't know how to utilize him. That's what it sounds like to me. So I use... Even like, I stay with Arsenal right now because the one thing I like about Arsenal is... I feel like ever since the day you got Bergkamp, I forgot who your number 10 was before Bergkamp, but ever since Bergkamp came in...
Merson, yeah.
Merson was a good player. But Bergkamp's technical excellence was head and shoulders above not only Merson, but so many others in the Premier League. Like, he was undisputed number one technically. You couldn't touch him, right? And what I like about Arsenal is ever since then, anytime you have someone that played in that number 10 role, they had to have that... Even if it wasn't the same level, at least a good to high level of technical ability in that number 10 position where they're able to create, where they're able to dribble. So, I mean, Samir Nasri could dribble, could create, could score. Mesut Ozil could create and was actually a very good finisher when he was presented with chances. The way he used to pass shots into the back of the net. And Smith Rowe is now a young boy. He's being sort of thrusted in there, but you can see that he's got a little bit of that sort of technical player about him. And Martin Odegaard, yes, it's a loan deal, but the signing makes sense in the sense of he's a number 10 that plays that technical kind of role.
Not when he doesn't play though, right? But
Different
podcast, different conversation.
But I like that. I like to praise that. And you guys don't call those guys luxury players. You call them technically very good technical footballers because that's what they are. Luxury players should be celebrated. If you've got a talent who is able to literally, I say to Man United fans, you look at Pogba, how many, and if let's take, I know form is always going to come to the window, and I talk about form so much as well, but if we're just talking about ability alone, how many players in the Premier League and in European football have his ability to shoot from many distances, to create from many distances, at his height, to be able to use his feet so well to get out of small situations and dominate the ball like that? How many players on this planet can do the same things he does? I know his form is not consistent, so we're not going to have that discussion because we all know it. But in terms of his ability, he has all that. Why is he not being celebrated? Why are the more simpler footballers that do the basic things and sometimes not even to the acceptable level, why are they more celebrated or accepted than these luxury footballers? I don't understand that because that means you're telling me a young Messi coming in would be a luxury footballer. Are you kidding me?
You know what it is? It's the DNA, and you're a football coach as well as I am. When we were doing our coaching badges, I don't know when you done yours, but I've done mine in 2002 or something like that. I just started doing it, and then, like the DNA was just trash. It was everything was just like, if in doubt, put it out. That was what you were. That's what you were told, even when you were playing football as a youngster. That's what you were told. So already the DNA was trash. So, like you're saying, Gascoigne and Glenn Hoddle and people like that, Matt Letizia, Paul Merson, they were always called luxury players. But these guys were the guys that won you the games. Like, they won you games. So you should be accommodating to them. And Man United now have two of those players in midfield, which is presenting the issue. For me, because they've got Pogba and they've got Bruno Fernandes, I think you've got to let both of them, and then you've even got Donny, because I think if you let Donny just do what he's got to do, he produces.
But I feel like Bruno does what he's been brought in to do. He's allowed that freedom.
I don't even think he is half of the time though, because there's been times.
Does he lick off?
No, but I mean, there's times where where they've done little formation tweaks and they've put him, say, like on the right of a diamond or something like that. So again, that kind of stunts how much he's trying to do. I think it was the Everton game that they done that, and he did come up in the end. He came up with an assist and a goal, but I would just like to see him just literally just doing whatever the hell he wants to do. Like, I see Man United fans complaining about how much he gives the ball away, but it's because he's trying. I want my players to try and do something that nobody else on the pitch can do, rather than getting in the position, turning around and playing a safe pass that don't get you nowhere.
But can you see the frustration? I can understand the frustration that, because we were watching football back in the day, obviously.
Yeah.
You were getting your football coaching badge in 2002. So the players that we are celebrating now, how many times did you say when they were attacking offensive, would they lose the ball? But is that down to the fact of that part of the game being coached out of them because of the way the system is set up? Because we obviously tactics are now number one. You have to list everything. You got to play position. You can't express yourself. That's everything. So, given when they get the opportunity, they then fall flat at the very end because they haven't been doing it consistently, not in training and not on the football pitch. So that's got to be down to the way players are coached nowadays, where it's all about the system and not about. I keep bringing back to the word individuality. It is about individuality, because the players of yesteryear never lost the ball, and if they did, they might have won it back. A la Patrick Vieira, a la Gilberto Silva, SCN, Lampard, Gerrard, all those guys.
But do you think with Bruno? I know how I feel, but for you guys watching that are not United fans, so I say neutrals. You obviously want United to get smacked, but if you're watching as a neutral, let's just say they're playing Tottenham, you hate Tottenham more than United, so they force them to get smacked. But if you're watching him, like for me, this is where I see him. Maybe you guys can tell me how you feel after I see it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's two things. Yes, there are times where he gives away a pass where it's just like, okay, there was no need for that. And when you go back to those other players that would do that once in a while, it's because there was just like a slight miscommunication in those moments. So, or maybe it was hit a bit too heavy, and it's all right, sorry, we continue. But then also there's another side where I look at sometimes the front three of United, which is also inconsistent. And it's like, I'm going to single them out here. But for example, Martial, and I bring Matt into this conversation, two different players.
That's a surprising name you brought up.
Very surprising. But I'm bringing him and I'm bringing Mata up for a very specific reason. It's because all those players had strikers that had a variety to their game. So when Gerrard played with Owen at first, obviously that wasn't that long because Owen's a younger guy, all that stuff. Yes, but he has something to his game different, and you could find him. Then he had he wasn't really blessed with strikers until Torres, really. But with Torres,
Barros was decent.
Oh, Milan Barros was actually quite good. I forgot about him. Yeah, Milan Barros. I actually forgot about him completely. Torres, his connection was fantastic because he could he can get the ball to Torres on the right wing, and Torres could shoot from there or could create, or he'll make runs in behind, or even back to goal. Torres was actually quite underrated at that as well. And then Luis Suarez, with all that he had to his game, and then you go to Daniel Sturridge and all he had in his game, like. But when you're watching someone like Martial, and this is why I'm bringing up Mata, because Martial is very much a ball-to-feet player only. So it's always back to goal, or if he's facing goal, he's tired on waiting the ball to come to his feet. He hardly runs in behind. You compare it to Mata, who's slower.
That's disrespectful.
His balls he knows what he's doing. But when you compare it to Mata is not anywhere near as quick as Martial, but the way he moves on the pitch makes sure that when Bruno plays a pass into a position or into an area, because the Mata's already ready and he's moving already, he gets there way in time so that pass gets to his target. So do you think you will let me know one? I know I don't know. Well, actually, I know what Kel thinks. Actually, there's more of it. I know it's more Darren, because Darren gets mad. That's the third member of Free Midfield, by the way. For no one that doesn't know. Is it more to do with the fact that United's players are not reading or not doing the things they should be doing on the pitch to help the creative player find the opportunity to make a chance? Or is it the guy just being completely and utterly wasteful?
I mean, for me, with Fernandes, I think it's more of the formula, the players up front and not giving him what he needs. Like to it's just hard. It's hard because you would think the player on the ball is smart enough to not play a ball that the people in front of him are not going to get. But at the same time, if we look at, say, Cesc Fabregas, he always played to the strengths of his attackers. So if, say, when he was playing for Arsenal, if Van Persie, he would do more through balls, like where Van Persie can hit it first time. If it was Walcott, he knew he would play it over the top, so Walcott could run onto it. If it was bloody Shamak or whoever, just, you know, he adjusted for who he was playing with, and he wasn't always playing with great footballers. So for me, that's why I hold Cesc above a lot of midfielders, because he always adjusted to who he was playing with. When I watch Fernandes, he plays a ball sometimes.
He plays his ball, isn't it?
Yeah, and I feel like he thinks that Ronaldo's getting on the end of it. So that's what I feel like. He feels like he's passing to a better of caliber of players. So sometimes you play a ball and then he gets angry because the striker didn't get to the ball or whatever. And I just look at it thinking, okay, you're maybe used to playing with a slightly different person, so you may be used to that. And always goes back to the Mesut Ozil thing. Passing to Olivier Giroud and passing to Cristiano Ronaldo.
That was in my head.
That's two different things. It's two different things.
Giroud wasn't finishing off the chances.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So that's why people like that, I hold them so high, because they adjusted to who they were playing with. And I don't feel like Fernandes has quite found that as yet. But it's still early days.
We can't call him world class.
I mean, that's why. Yeah, I mean, that's why I say he's got the talent and his numbers that he's putting up are world class, but is he a world class footballer?
You can argue that KDB and Fernandes have more in common than Fernandes and Fabregas, for example, because they play exactly the same style. They're always they're always playing their ball into the box, hoping that somebody gets on the end of it. Fortunately for KDB, there's always somebody on the end of it. Maybe that's put down to the ball being so well delivered, but they're very similar players. Fernandes, Ozil, they do well. Ozil less, because Ozil he played like Fabregas. He always found the player, regardless of the style which they played. And it was just like you said, It's just like you said. He is. I'm not arguing that, but he's got a very good delivery. What was I saying?
Hey, Bobs, who's the right midfielder? KDB. Ask
KDB,
that one,
yeah.
Sorry. Is he saying right midfielder for KDB?
Yeah, I think he's saying KDB is, but
yeah.
Really and truly, Beckham's the right midfielder. KDB's a wannabe.
He's a what?
Yeah, okay. Kind of.
He's a wannabe.
I get what you're saying.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But to be honest, nowadays Beckham will be playing a centre mid. He wouldn't be fast enough to be considered a right mid.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what? Honestly, I don't even think Beckham would get into most teams.
You're lying.
No.
Listen to what I'm saying. No. Listen to what I'm saying. No, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying ability-wise, but I'm saying the way the teams set up and tactics and stuff. I don't think they would know how to utilize David Beckham because of the way he played. You see what I'm saying? Like, I always say David Beckham is the best at finding someone. I find like a man could be on the right, he could be on his own corner spot, yeah, and a man will find the pass. He'll find the Dwight York, or he'll find the Andy Cole or whoever. Like, Bex was that good. Everything was pinpoint. It was pinpoint. Like, if you wanted a pinpoint pass, you would go to David Beckham. And I could see where people are saying KDB is a pretender because he's trying it. And this is what I always used to say about Gerrard. I think he was a pretender. Like, I think he tried to be David Beckham, but he didn't have it in his locker. He could do it every now and again, but on but on ability, nobody was as good as David Beckham in my eyes. On ability, in terms of finding a pass, I don't think there was anybody.
Beckham is easily
there.
the most technically the best technical player England's ever produced.
Like you've got arguments for Cesc, you've got arguments for Xabi Alonso in terms of passing range, but for me, Bex is the man. Would you even put him as a general? Would you put him as a general, like in terms of what he could do?
No,
maybe not his defensive work, but
no, because he's a general.
Beckham didn't run midfield per se, but he knew he was sort of like a player where like you just knew whether you put him in the middle or you put him on the right, he knew how to find players. Yeah, that was his job more than anything. His passing ability was so high, and when he went to Spain, he actually improved. He got a bit quicker. He started dribbling past players a bit more. Yeah, I mean now, because defending's not really a thing. Beckham wasn't a great defender, and he had the stamina and passing to do so. I agree. Yeah. Especially the passing, because it's all about range. I mean, it's different gravy. But yeah, that was the best thing about him, is passing more than anything. The ability, like you guys just said it, the ability to find someone was out of this world.
From anywhere.
Literally anywhere. And on top of that, having the ability for set pieces is incredible. So Beckham would actually kill it in the football right now, because if you told him to be a functional system player, he could do it to a T. He could actually do it to a T. The guy's footballing ability is so underrated.
Let me put a spanner in the works. Henderson, is he a general?
No.
There's a pretender. If you want one, there's a pretender.
Like if we look at what Henderson does, and then we look at Liverpool without Henderson,
I feel like does
that show you?
I feel like Fabinho has more meaning in that midfield than Henderson.
Good shout.
If you're talking about general, if you ask me who the general of that midfield was, I understand why Liverpool fans would say Henderson, because if you're talking about, again, going back and forth, he does it a bit more. He's got the stamina to do so. He does love a tackle, but Fabinho does the same thing even as a defensive midfielder. Don't forget, Fabinho's got good goals in his game. He knows how to defend very cleanly. The guy can ball, he can dribble. I would call Fabinho in that midfield more of a general than Henderson. That's not me trying to do with Henderson agenda, because I know Liverpool fans.
No, I
know you guys are calm. Yeah. Just in case the Liverpool fans that's not an agenda-driven thing. That's just if I study their games one-on-one, I would look at Fabinho more than I would look at Henderson as a general, in my opinion.
Cahill. Fernandinho at the top of his game, midfield general. Yes, no, maybe so. Top of his game. Obviously not now because he's getting old, but top of his game. Is he somebody that could do everything? Or was he just he put out fires like fire and sound?
It's one of the things. He was very good at what he did. And he allowed players like Yaya Toure to obviously get forward and this all comes down to the system. And Could he play? I've never really known him to be a superior passer. He did have a shot on him, which he did express on a few occasions. But then again, offensively, I wouldn't say he's that great offensively.
Yeah,
that's down to the system. We never got to see him play freely. You know, he was always playing his role, and he'd done his role supremely, which allowed other players to do their job the best, getting forward, especially Yaya Toure. But yeah, as for Fabinho, maybe not. I wouldn't even for Fernandinho and Fabinho. He's close, but I don't think he's quite there.
Cool. All right, so we're gonna go back to yesterday. Who is the biggest midfield general ever to have graced the Premiership?
Patrick Vieira, and it's if you're thinking about it, you're wrong.
For me, it's between three people.
Go on.
Three?
Yeah, as in whether you think it's close or not, but just because of the importance of what they did for their midfield at their time in their pomp.
Okay, I said no ways going with this to get somebody in there, but okay.
No. If you feel I'm trying to call Roy Keane in there to put it in, Keowners, I don't like the guy. but I have to give the guy his props.
Yeah.
I don't like the guy. I don't like the guy at all, but I have to give the guy his props. When he was running midfield for United, bruv, the guy ran the show. Vieira is definitely in there. There's no one that can even dispute that. The other one that I want to throw in there, which I'm
hoping you go with my guy, but go on.
Okay, I might be going a different way. I don't know. The guy that I think doesn't get enough of a shout out for being a midfield general was Essien.
Yes, he said it. I was hoping you didn't go with like Gerard. I'm saying it had to have been Essien. This guy, and we're talking about everything. Like I was at Stamford Bridge when Essien done a banana thing, like one mad shot that went zoop zoop. I was like, what was that?
That was a foul.
Was that one against Arsenal?
Yeah. I was like, what was that?
If Vieira was there today, Ben, that would have got fouled. It was actually called tripped. Who did he trip up? He tripped up somebody. It was a massive foul.
Sorry. Do you know what's crazy about that goal? Yeah,
what was that?
You know what? Yeah, it didn't really register with me how crazy that goal was until I heard Andy Gray go, "Oh my goodness!" That's what I was like. Oh, shit.
The thing is, it didn't even register at the time. It registered like probably like I don't know, a year ago for me, 2 years ago.
Oh really?
Like when I just had to stop getting up in my feelings and
the emotion, the
emotion of the thing, and then you're watching back Premiership years.
Replays player, because at the time it's like, oh, that's a fantastic goal. When you see it, especially if you see it live, like I'm pretty sure all the people in when they were watching Roberto Carlos said that free kick against France, so they were like, oh, that's a fantastic goal. Yeah. It wasn't until you saw like the angle of the ball, the trajectory and the curvature. I was like, how the hell did somebody? How could somebody do that? Yeah. That was insane. It was absolutely.
Or to even think about doing it as well. That was the thing for me.
Yeah.
Because obviously, me and Kojo gave it to Cafu and Roberto Carlos I gave it to Cafu and Roberto Carlos last week.
Oh, the right back and left back.
Yeah, the right back and left back, and like you're saying, it was just amazing. But if we get back to the midfield generals, and obviously, I think we all agree that. I don't know. I'm saying Patrick Vieira is the best. And it wasn't, I think, you know what? When I watched back videos, I don't think we realised at the time how skillful he was.
Yep.
How actually technically gifted he was. And I mean, there was 2 games in particular that I went to that he scored goals in. And you just think, this guy, he could have been a striker. Like the Liverpool at Anfield. That one, and then the last goal.
It was inevitable. Like, 1-on-1, it was inevitable.
When he went around the Everton game, when we was just trying to keep it from not going unbeaten, and he went around the keeper, and it's just like, and people forget
he came in. One where he said, hasn't scored this season, has now. That one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. No, that was a Chelsea one.
That was
Chelsea. Bergkamp through ball, and he's like, he hasn't scored this season. Well, he has now. That Cahill. That gave me goosebumps. Hey, bro, that gave me goosebumps, you know. I don't even know a camera thing. I don't know the camera thing can see that. You know? That gave me goosebumps, because that game, I talk about midfield generals, and that game, I think it was Patrick Vieira and Edu against Makalele and someone. Might have been Jeremy. Remember Jeremy? Cameroon guy. Yeah, I think it was Jeremy, like them man there. And yeah, I remember one of my favourite players, Good Johnson, scored against us early doors.
Oh, yeah.
That celebration.
Yeah, that celebration. Yeah. And then he scored a scrappy goal. Yeah, scrappy goal, Edu winner and that. But yeah, that's goosebumps, man. Thank you, Kate. I'm going to have to watch that tonight. Goosebumps too. But yeah, if you had to pick 2 to play in your midfield, who would it be? Vieira and whichever general? Because obviously, if you pick another general, then you just win. You just win, innit? Like you just win off that.
This is the thing. Like I'm thinking to myself, like it's only recent because I had to put my hate of Roy Keane to the side for just this week because there was a video that came out of him. Because I've rated him, but I've never rated him like super highly. When people ask me about United, all-time United team, I put Carrick in my team instead of Keane. So like, you know, but then a video came out and it wasn't one of those like 2-minute videos where you just see nice passing here and there, but it's like sideways or whatever it's done. I actually underrated how good this guy actually was in.
Was there one where he loved the keeper? Was it the one where he was
No,
that
there was just
in
like
there?
a video. Like it was just a compilation of different games. It wasn't
Oh,
just a
okay,
one game thing.
Okay,
It was different games, but it was a long video where he was just running the show. Like he was passing the ball forward to players that are making runs. He was finding the little chips over opponents, find players. It was the way he would win the ball back and drive the ball forward. Because Sats Ferguson's, everyone said it best. He said to Sats Ferguson, he said to players, if you pass it forward, if not pass the ball forward, I'm taking you off. We are progressive. We're not backwards. You know. So like for Roy Keane, when I was watching it, I was like, why don't I remember this? Was I just that young that I didn't really read his game, or did I just think of him as the aggressive guy like everybody else?
It's the narrative. It's the narrative.
It's the narrative.
From those
but the
years.
guy could ball.
They just completely just erase parts of players' games that made them truly, truly, truly special.
Yeah.
And it's only until you start watching them back where you actually appreciate their offensive play. Like Roy Keane was a box-to-box midfielder. He wasn't a DM. He wasn't a. He didn't just stay in the defensive area and sweep up. He got forward. He scored a goal against Juventus.
He scored the goal against Juventus, and he pretty much was the driving force alongside the front two to get that.
They don't get enough credit for that one. That was pretty much a Cole and York game. Keane got the credit, but yeah, that was pretty much a Cole and York game. But yeah, Vieira, man, it's just some of the stuff that you see him do is almost Zidane-esque. Like the quality of that he had on the ball, man. It's just like there was a goal against Chelsea where he's outside the edge, just outside of the edge of the box, and he whips it into the opposite top corner. It's like, why have we not seen this before? It's because all you hear about now, you hear about the aggression, the arguments, and the tantrums, the fights.
Yeah, Keane versus Vieira. That's what they cared about.
Vieira. So it's not down to the quality of the players. It's all down to the tackles and how hard they played. But man, technically, Vieira, I feel like he should be easily classed as probably the best midfielder on the planet. One of the best to ever play. Maybe the best to ever play because of what he was able to do offensively and defensively.
Yeah,
nobody in the history of football's played like that.
If
offensively,
if Yaya could defend, I would
but he couldn't.
I would put him up there.
No, Yaya could defend.
No. We're talking about Patrick Vieira level of defending.
I know that, but that's not. Let's not take away the fact that he can still defend. Vieira defending levels is boss level, so that's like. I just need how crazy that midfield for France was. Zidane, Makelele, and Vieira. That's mad. But
did Makelele play that much? I don't think he played that much, to be honest with you.
Well, I can't remember how much he played, but if he didn't play that much, then more for them. But then again, Emmanuel Petit's still there.
Makelele didn't go to World Cup. It was Petit.
The World Cup '98 was 98. Yeah, '98 was Vieira and Petit.
Yeah. So, but like, I'm not. So obviously, we know he hasn't got the defensive levels of Vieira, but. When we do that, it sort of negates what he could actually do. The guy was very good defensively. You know what I mean? Just like Vieira was supreme defensively, but very good is still very good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because I remember me and Kelly talked about it at Barcelona. Unfortunately, he was playing centre back or defensive midfield. Like he was the utility man, which is a damn shame because when the guy balled out of Barca, when he got starts in his position, he was killing it every single time.
That's the thing. They didn't know what to do with him, did they? Like he didn't fit their narrative, did he? So that's why
I disagree. I think they knew exactly what to do with him, but certain reasons is the reason why they didn't play him.
No, obviously, if you're gonna say because Messi and whoever were more in control,
no, it's about Pep. It's about Pep.
But you know what? Yeah, if we're gonna get that, obviously we're gonna do because obviously we could sidetrack for a little bit, but I think even in this country that was an issue that young black footballers had to play centre back because they were tall and fast. Like the amount of players that I played with that at school or whatever, they were flying wingers or flying attackers, and then they were picked up by Leyton Orient at the time. That's who was picking up everyone, or Tottenham. Like I'll go watch like my young neighbour and stuff, and the guy was playing centre back. The guy couldn't defend for his life, but he was just tall and he was quick. So automatically, they got pushed to the bottom of the food chain, as you would say.
I think with Pep,
But
though, it's
yeah.
more down to it's more. I was just we'll talk about it after, but yeah, because they don't want to.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it after. We don't want to put your show into.
I mean, yeah. We don't want to get too political, but obviously it is what it is. For me, I think we need to get back to having those sort of midfielders, the level of the stature that sort of Patrick Vieira had. We tried to recreate it with Diaby, and the injury got to him, man, because that guy, I think. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Yeah, honestly, I think he was on trajectory to possibly surpass Patrick Vieira.
No,
but he was that good. Go back and watch what he done. It was a carbon copy. Absolutely. I remember we went to Anfield one year and
purple kit, right?
Yeah, the purple and blue kit. Yeah.
Listen,
the performance my guy put in. Between him, Santi Cazorla, and I think was it Ramsey? Can't remember if it was Ramsey or someone. The performance they put in, and it ended with Santi finishing off a chance and Pepe Reina trying to save him. But listen, Abu Diaby, man, the guy, and I just love football, man. I love going to matches. I used to go to I was fortunate enough to have an auntie that was able to get loads of away games, so we would go to most. And I remember going to that Sunderland game where that guy broke his ankle, man, and the scream that came from it. He never recovered from it, because obviously he just got fit. He got injured every time he tried to play, man. But I just want to see those sort of midfielders come back, man. And you have generals, you have people like Makalele that can run a midfield, but do it in a different way. He could do it in a different way, and I think Kante has probably came the closest and been able to control a whole midfield while the rest of his team go and progress.
What about Moussa Dembele?
Listen, anybody that knows me knows I think Dembele was the best centre midfielder at the time in the Premiership. He was the best. He was unplayable. You couldn't play against him because he was a centre midfielder that can dribble with the ball, that can run with the ball, that can play against a press. He could pass. There was times where we thought Oxlade was going to do that for us. And I think that's what he wanted to do. But Wenger didn't quite trust him to do it. Right. But that's what he wanted to do. And that's what I want to see football going back to, people that play midfield that take chances, that could do both, that take chances. And then the only person that I said right at the beginning is Ndombele for Spurs. I think under different management, I think he elevates again. Under different management, I think he's
thriving right now, though.
He's thriving right now. He's thriving right now, but I think he gets better under different management. And obviously,
I don't know.
Mourinho he's the pinnacle, but is he finished in terms of where does he go from here? Where can Mourinho really go from here? I don't think he can go anywhere. Obviously, there's teams that are going to still want him, but are the top caliber teams going to really want Mourinho? Because he's blacklisted himself, hasn't he? He's pretty much his attitude. The things he says, his charisma.
I imagine he's got
no longer there.
Wolves if he asks. Nice.
Yeah, probably, man. He's going to be 60 in a couple of years as well.
We're old, man.
Trust me. When I saw it today, I was just looking him up and stuff, and I just wanted to read a bit more about him and tactics and stuff. And I saw he was 58. And when he first came in, he was in just turning 40 and that.
Yeah.
It was the fresh young manager, and the guys are big. He's turning into Arsene Wenger now. That's his ages and that. So
he is a specialist in failure right now, boy.
I said that ruined his career. That statement there. He went and won the league for Chelsea, and then obviously got a couple of League Cups. And did he win the Europa League with Man United? But nothing big since he said that, man. That killed him. Don't mess with Daddy Wenger, boy. But yeah, boys, thank you so much. An amazing show. But what we're going to do is, we said the Premiership one, but Cahill, are you going to say he was the biggest midfield general all round in the world? I'll give you two. I'll say we'll say Patrick Vieira is going to be one, but give us another one that you would. Who was your favorite midfield guy? Like that sort of midfield guy.
For midfield, there's like so many, man. I'd say Zidane.
Yeah.
Zidane
So you guys, Zidane and Vieira, yeah.
Yeah, easily.
That would be your guy, guys. So, Kojo.
Oh, Zidane was definitely my guy as well. Anyone that knows me knows I'm actually cool about that guy. One guy that was a general for me, I don't know how you guys are going to feel about this one. One guy that was a general for me was Iniesta.
And you know what? I'm going to tell you something about Iniesta. I didn't rate Iniesta until he stopped playing football.
Oh. Oh.
Because I didn't see it when he was playing. Like, I just didn't see it. I noticed it when he was starting to get to the end. And then they were talking about who's going to replace him. Then I started taking a bit more, like really watching him. But I didn't like. I'd seen Jack Wilshere like play against him and Xavi, and then I was just like, "What is this?
No.
What is this? What is this? What is this guy telling me? This is the best guy in the world." Yeah. I didn't like. But I appreciate him a lot more now. Like when I go back and watch games, like when I watch whole games and stuff.
One, he played in Spain and he played for easily the best team that's ever played football. So it's hard. It's hard.
Do you always feel like that's hard to
It's hard to give him the individual props, knowing that the team was so dominant,
especially because of who he played for. It wasn't like he played for Real Madrid. Like if he played for Real Madrid and you saw it, I think it's different to playing for Barcelona and seeing it, because I feel like you could be half decent and be sick playing for Barcelona. Like,
I mean, if you look at Griezmann right now, that kind of disproves your point.
In midfield, though, because they've had Gio Van Bronckhorst, Emmanuel Petit, and all these guys look good playing in that team, innit? So I feel like, I wouldn't say anyone. Obviously, you have to have a certain ability in it, but I think it would be.
You see that Barca team. Yeah, the thing that was so crazy about that midfield was, you genuinely had 3 players that could qualify for the best in their position easily. I mean, you have Busquets. Yeah. Busquets ran defensive. Busquets became the best defensive midfielder in the world at the age of 20.
Yeah.
And he ran the show until Casemiro came around for a bit, and then he declined. And even though Barca are declining, Busquets' level of performance hasn't dropped that much. It's just that he's getting older. So he was really a slow player. So when you're already a slow player, you're aging. At this point, it's really long for you, isn't it? So everything has to come down to just reading of the game and nothing more.
110.
But the thing about Iniesta is, and it took me a while to deep this as well. So I thought this guy was more like I thought Xavi was more of the control of the midfield, and then this guy was more of the creative juice. But then I realized, I was watching, I was like, this guy can defend, and the way he defended wasn't about tackling or intercepting. It was just getting his body in front of you, nabbing the ball and going. And then literally like that. That's what was it. Player. And then driving your team forward, and then their ability to create as well. And bear in mind, this is why I get into argument with football fans as well, because he's not a numbers guy either. You check his numbers are not crazy. For the years he played, they're not insane numbers. But the quality this guy possessed on a football pitch to run a midfield for Barca, that's why now you're talking about, Messi has to do everything, Messi has to drop back. Of course Messi has to drop back, because he ain't got controllers behind him like that anymore. Rakitic was a very good player, but he wasn't Iniesta. You know what I mean? Like, De Jong is a very good young player, but he's not Xavi's level yet. Or will he be? Who knows? Yeah. So, it's the same thing, but this is the same thing, the same way Ronaldo finally thrived at Madrid, started winning things when he went from a midfield of Gago and whoever else was in there to Casemiro, Kroos, and Modric. So
Western Gentler, man.
Like Western Gentler is another one as well. So it comes with the greatest players have had elite behind them, but Iniesta is elite of the elite. That guy is incredible. What a player, man.
Yeah. I never saw Maradona, Barga, so I can't really. I can't really.
It's like recently. It's like Rude Hillett. Like, whenever you watch like Football Legends, you see the way he played. or
Yeah, all of them,
any-
Ruud Gullit, Frank Rijkaard, all of those sort of guys, but they were just like, they're a bit before our time, so I can't really comment on it. But yeah, you know what? Another little spanner in the works here. Zidane's actual period of being great, I don't think it was that long.
For France, he's easily the best French player to play for France ever. That span between 98 and 2006. Like you rarely see something be as dominant.
I'm happy that Kel said that because people don't acknowledge his Juventus years. It's always about Real Madrid.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm a massive Juventus fan, so obviously, like, I know about like Zidane, Juventus days with Del Piero, bloody Zambrotta, Montero, all of those man. They're like
wonderful.
Like you see me, yeah. Zambrotta was my favorite fullback.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He went from midfield to fullback. That guy, like, just.
Excellent.
And then they got Cameronese as well that played right mid, and then he went to right back. Listen, Juventus, we'll talk about it after. But yeah, midfield generals, yeah. Obviously, we're gonna give it to Patrick Vieira. I think he, in my lifetime anyway, has been the biggest. Obviously, honourable mention for man like Keane, Essien, Stevie G, Makalele, them guys. But yeah, for me, Patrick Vieira was just a beast, and who, if I want to be a footballer, I would want to be Patrick Vieira. So guys, please, thank you for coming on, but also let us know where we can find you. Man's doing a madness trying to get back to my other thing, to the other screen to get this comment up so I can get you. And there you go. Oh, no, wrong one. Yeah, tell us where we can find you guys, man.
Oh, okay. I always forget it's me, you know. So you can catch us firstly on YouTube at Free Midfield. Over here, Free Midfield Podcast. Shout out for as well. You can find me on there on YouTube as well. Other than that, Twitter at Free Midfield and Free Midfield for Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud.
Yeah. Okay, Hill, are you gonna give us a little? Oh no, man! Give me that intro, that outro that you do, man. Like,
jeez,
outro.
Your little intro.
This is the Free Midfield Podcast. Good night. No, I can't say that.
No, I get today. This is the what is this? This is the Away Day show.
This is the Away Day show. This is the Away Day show. Good night. There you go.
Thank you. There you go. Cahill said it first. Please, guys, remember you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Big Gunner TV, and on YouTube as Just a Big Gunner. Thank you all for rolling with us. Thank you for everyone that's left comments. Thank you to my guys, man. They're just genuine, legit guys. So please make sure you follow what they're doing because they're always bringing legit football content. No beef, just straight talking, banter, and all of that. All of the good stuff, man. All of the good stuff. Everyone, have a good evening. Make sure you social distance. Guys, no jumping in girls' DMs. Just keep it legit.